Hello and welcome to your practice. For today's abbreviated practice, we are going to work up towards Pincha Mayurasana. So this is going to be a little bit of a shorter flow. We won't do Shavasana, but I do recommend if you have time at the end, definitely take Shavasana because we're going to get sweaty. For today, you'll just need one block and a little bit of wall space. Let's start lying down. So come onto your back into something called Constructive Rest Pose. So you're going to bend your knees, take your feet a little bit wider than your hips, and just knock your knees together. Now reach your arms straight up to the sky, and then cross one arm over the other. See if you can really dig in underneath your upper back, maybe even grab the tips of your shoulder blades, and take a big breath in. Exhale, keep your arms where they are, but just let them drop onto your chest. And close your eyes for just a moment here. And start to shift into Ujjayi breath. Begin to breathe in and out through your nose. And really feeling here how using the full circumference of your core to push the stale air up and out of your lungs helps to make that smooth, audible sound. Keep your eyes closed. Inhale, stretch your arms up and cross the other arm over. Reach under your upper back, pull your shoulder blades apart. Take a big breath in. Exhale, arms plop on the chest. So before we really start to get moving here, observe how your body is feeling in this particular moment. Take a steady breath in, reach your arms up. Exhale, lower your arms down by your sides and blink your eyes open. And then hug your right knee to your chest, circle your ankle a couple times each way. Circle your thigh around once each way from the hip. And do the same thing on your left. Hug your left knee into your chest, circle your ankle a couple times in each direction. And circle your thigh around once each way from the hip. And then lift both of your feet off the ground. And as I mentioned, we are going to get moving pretty quickly here. Cross your right thigh over the left. Now you might leave the feet apart. If you can, you might bring your right ankle towards your left shin. Some of you might even tuck your right toes behind the left shin for full eagle wrap. And then take your arms up towards the ceiling. Cross your right arm under the left. And you can either bring the backs of your hands towards each other or maybe lace the palms. Now, as you next inhale, reach your fingertips towards the floor behind your head and your toes just off the ground at the head of your mat. And then as you exhale, curl everything and lift your head up, bring your elbows and knees together. And as you inhale, expand, open it out. Try not to arch the lower back. Exhale, curling in. Maybe even lift your hips off the ground. And inhale to open. And again, exhale, curling in. Get really small. Inhale, expand. Exhale, curl. Inhale, open. Last one here, exhale, curl. But of course, you do have two sides. So now inhale, lie down. Keep your legs where they are. Unlace your arms. Place your right hand on your right thigh and your left hand over your right. At the same time here, try to bring your thighs to your chest and push them away. 3, 2, and release. Switch the cross of your legs. So left thigh over right. Find your variation of your eagle wrap. Thread your left arm underneath the right. Take an inhale, reach your toes forwards and your fingertips down and back. And then as you exhale, I want you to curl and maybe even lift your hips off the ground. Inhale, expand. Exhale, curl in. Inhale, expand. Exhale, get really small. Maybe lift your hips up for a moment. Inhale, stretch it long. Last 2, exhale, curl. Inhale, open. And exhale, curl. Feel your shoulder blades spreading apart. Now inhale, lie down. Unlace your arms. Place your left hand on your left thigh and your right hand over your left. I want you to try to bring your thighs to your chest while you try to push them away. So it looks like you're not really doing anything, but you should hopefully be working pretty hard here. And let that go. Uncross your legs. Good. Grab onto your shins or your hamstrings. Rock yourself up to your seat. Plant your feet down on the ground, hips width and parallel. Take your hands down next to your hips. Spread your fingers wide. Now keep your hands this wide, but walk your hands back so they're more under your shoulders. Good. If your wrists feel a little tender, your hands can slightly fan out to the sides. Push down into your thumb and index knuckles especially, and then lift your chest up. Next, exhale, lift your hips up, reverse tabletop. Roll your inner thighs down and slide your shoulder blades down your back. Take a steady breath in. With your exhale, tuck your chin to your chest, swing your hips back through the window of your arms. Maybe you graze the floor, maybe not. And then inhale, push back up into reverse tabletop. And again, exhale, tuck your chin, swing your hips back. This time stay here, or maybe lift your feet one at a time like you're walking in place. Inhale, lift your hips back up. One more time, exhale, tuck your chin, swing your hips back. Stay here or lift your feet one at a time. Maybe lift both feet and then sit all the way down. Good. Cross your shins, plant your hands, and come onto all fours. So spread your finger bones nice and wide. Make sure that your index fingers are parallel. Push the floor away from you. Now, if you need to modify this or want to, this can be done on your knees in a knees down version of plank. Otherwise, you're going to join me. Step your feet back into full plank. Now feel your midsection strong, so hug in from all sides of your core. So not just from the belly, feel the sides of your waist pulling in as your top sternum reaches forwards. Now take a big breath in. And as you exhale, only moving the shoulder blades, I want you to try to drop your chest towards the floor so the shoulder blades pull together. And then inhale, pull your shoulder blades apart. And then again, just in the upper back, exhale, drop your chest towards the floor, keep your belly in. And then push yourself back up, spread the shoulder blades. Do it again, exhale, drop the chest. Inhale, widen your shoulder blades. Last one, exhale, drop your chest. Inhale, shoulder blades apart. Exhale, lift your hips up and back. Come into downward facing dog. Good, so take a little moment here. This hopefully feels like a little break after a brisk warm up. Spreading the fingers nice and wide, vigorously pushing through your inner hand, and feeling your biceps rolling out and away from each other. Notice the spaciousness in the neck and the upper back when you do that. Feel your heels driving down towards the floor. Don't even worry about it if they're not even close. That doesn't matter. Now with your next inhale, stretch your right leg straight up and back, three-legged down dog. Now exhale, bend your right knee, and then once in each direction, make the biggest circle you can manage with your knee from the hip. So knees together, knee to chest, open your knee out, up and back, and then reverse that. Take the knee wide, armpit, bring it into your chest, knees together, lift your right leg up and back. Exhale, step or help your right foot all the way through. Come up into warrior two. So spin your left heel in and down. Next inhale, reach your arms out into a T, coming up into warrior two. So as you firm your left outer hip in, maybe could you lift your right waist up a little bit here and send your tailbone straight down to the floor, gazing out over your right fingertips. Now next inhale, flip your right palm up, and as you exhale, reverse your warrior. Try to stay very low in the front leg. Inhale into the side body. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, side angle. Take your right forearm to your right thigh and your left arm up and overhead. Big breath in. Exhale, warrior two. Now inhale, reverse your warrior, but this time take your left arm and reach your hand down towards your right ankle. So it's just kind of hovering like a windmill. Inhale, warrior two. Now exhale, side angle. Right hand towards left ankle, left arm overhead. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, funky reverse warrior. Reach your arms in opposite directions. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, funky side angle. One more set. Inhale, warrior two. Try to keep your legs really stable. Exhale, funky reverse warrior. Inhale, warrior two. Last one. Exhale, funky side angle. Inhale, warrior two. Straighten your right leg. Firm your left outer hip in. Reach as far as you can to the right. Come into triangle. Right hand to shin, floor, big toe, or block. Take your left arm straight up to the sky. Feel your top left ribs reaching down towards your left waist so there's more space on the right side of your rib cage. Ask yourself, do I need to knit my rib cage in and back? Especially if you're somewhat of a natural back bender. Next inhale, stand back up into warrior two. Rebend your right knee. Now, from here, flip your right palm up, reach your right arm up, and then down your back. Now, option number one, you can take your left hand to your right elbow and keep it there and use that to keep on opening up into this half Gomukhasana variation. Otherwise, you reach your left arm down, palm facing back, reach down, and then bend your elbow to reach up your back. And you might find a strap if you've got one. You can use your hand, some clothing, or just move the hands closer. Now, as you exhale, funky reverse warrior. So tip your torso to your left, hug your right bicep in towards the side of your face, and get very, very low in your legs. Take one more breath. Try to lean even more to your left, chest parallel to the wall across from you. Inhale, come back upright, straighten your right leg. Just turn around so you guys can see me. And then as you next inhale, lift your right elbow up. And as you exhale, start to fold forwards, making sure the sides of your feet are true parallel. Take just one more breath here. I know it's a lot. And then just let your hands go for a moment. Now, next inhale, come up halfway. Now imagine for a moment your upper body is coming into down dog, but your lower body is staying in this fold. So walk your straight arms overhead, but keep your hips in line with your heels. Now you're going to pick your left hand up, thread your left arm underneath the right. See if you can grab your right outer shin, ankle, anywhere basically between the knee and the ankle works. And then push firmly into your right palm. Keep your right arm straight and try to look up underneath your right arm, bending the left elbow to make that happen. This might be more than enough. If you want more, you can try walking your right hand farther over to the left, somewhere maybe in front of the foot. And then again, you try to turn your chest open. Yeah, just an option if anyone really wants to get pretzely. Eventually you can grab the opposite shin with your right hand and you try to take your head underneath your right upper arm. 3, 2, now release. Plant your hands under your chest. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, walk your hands to the front edge of your mat. Turn all 10 toes to face forwards and come down onto your left knee. Heel toe your right foot forward so it's at least an inch or two ahead of the knee. Staying up on the fingertips, straighten your right leg. Flex your right toes skywards and plug your right thigh bone back into your right hip socket. Reach your top sternum forwards towards the front of your mat. Even feel like you're squeezing a meter stick between your inner thighs. Next inhale, bend your right knee, plant your hands flat, step back into downward facing dog. With your next inhale, reach your left leg straight up and back, three-legged down dog. Exhale, bend your left knee. Make a really big circle with your hips, so knees together, knee to chest. Open your knee out, up, and back, and then reverse that direction. So knee out, in, knee to chest, knees together. Inhale, left leg reaches up, look forwards. Exhale, step or help your left foot all the way through. Spin your right heel in and down. Inhale, stand up into warrior two. Taking your arms out into a T. Feeling your heels trying to drag together on the mat. And could you lift your left waist up as you firm your right outer hip in? Next inhale, flip your left palm up. Exhale, reverse your warrior. Stay low in your left leg. Breathe into the left side of your torso. Inhale. Now exhale, warrior two. Inhale, side angle, left forearm to thigh, right arm reaches over the right side of your face. Take a full breath in. Come back to warrior two. Good. Now go ahead and take funky reverse warrior. So reach your left arm up and back and take your right hand towards your left ankle. Inhale. Now exhale, warrior two. Good. Now come into funky side angle. Take your left hand towards your right heel, right arm overhead. Take a breath in. And then warrior two. Now moving with the breath, funky reverse warrior. And then take it back to warrior two. Now funky side angle. Exhale. Inhale, warrior two. Last set. Exhale, funky reverse warrior. Stay low in your legs. Inhale, warrior two. Last one, funky side angle. Inhale, warrior two. Straighten your left leg for triangle pose. Firm your right outer hip in, reach to your left. Left hand to shin, floor, big toe or block. Right arm reaching up to the sky. Wrap your left sitting bone down and under. Even here, can you feel like your heels are trying to drag together? Like your heels are the start of your pelvic floor? Could you shorten the right side of your ribs to lengthen the left waist? Take a steady breath in and out. Inhale, come back up, warrior two. Rebend your left knee. Now flip your left palm up, reach your left arm up, and then down your back. And you can either take your right hand to your left elbow and use that to guide the hand lower, or reach your right arm down, palm facing back, bend your elbow and reach up your back. Okay, maybe you find your hand, your clothing, or just move the hands closer together. Now next exhale, funky reverse warrior. Keep your chest parallel to the wall across from you. Stay very low in your left leg. Think of pulling your left bicep in towards the side of your face. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, come back upright. Straighten your left leg. Take your feet wide and parallel. And then with your next inhale, lift your left elbow up. Exhale, fold forwards. So reach your left elbow down towards the floor. Just take one more steady breath here. And let your arms go for a moment. Inhale, come up halfway. Walk your arms forwards like your upper body is coming into down dog. Now you're going to leave this time your left hand on the floor. Pick your right hand up. Thread your right arm under the left. Grab your left outer shin or ankle. And then maybe you stay here, bending the right elbow and trying to look under your left arm. Maybe you walk your left hand farther to the right, somewhere maybe even in front of the right foot. And then same thing, vigorously straighten your arm and maybe try to look underneath the arm. Last option, some of you might take your left hand and grab your right ankle or shin. And it's a similar pose. You try to bend your elbows in opposite directions in that case. And you're always trying to look up underneath your underarm. It's like one of the many poses in yoga that kind of looks like you're checking your deodorant, your aluminum-free deodorant. Now unwind from the pose and come up halfway again. Walk your hands to the front edge of your mat. Turn all 10 toes to face forwards and come down onto your right knee. Heel toe your left foot forward so it's at least an inch or two ahead of the knee. And then straighten your left leg. Flex your left toes skywards. Drag your left heel back towards your hips without actually moving it, so you're engaging the back of the leg. Feel as though you're plugging the left thigh bone into the left hip socket and your chest is reaching forwards. Next inhale, rebend your left knee, plant your hands. This time, come onto hands and knees. So lower down onto your forearms and make sure your block is somewhere at the front of your mat. We'll use it in just a minute or two. Now grab onto opposite biceps. If your shoulders are feeling a little more tight today, you're going to interlace your hands. Otherwise, you might join me and take your forearms parallel with your palms facing down. But make sure your elbows stay glued in place. Now, curl your toes under, step back into forearm plank. So spread the shoulder blades apart, but again, send your top sternum forwards. Activate all the way out through your heels. Now walk your feet in a little bit, come into Dolphin Pose. Sink your heels down towards the floor. This doesn't need to be your tightest dolphin because we're going to go back and forth a couple times. So as you next inhale, shift forwards, Forearm Plank. Exhale, take a long Dolphin Pose. Two more like that. Inhale, Forearm Plank. Feel the movement of your shoulder blades as you do this. Exhale, Dolphin Pose. Keep hugging the elbows in. One more time. Inhale, Forearm Plank. Exhale, long Dolphin Pose. Now walk your feet in, come into your tightest dolphin. And as you're here, think of knitting your rib cage in and back, and even lifting your back ribs up. Sink your heels towards the floor. Now ground down into your left foot. Lift your right leg straight up and back. And right away here, make sure your right big toe is tracing your inseam. This is really important when we're kicking up into inversions. Keep your hips neutral. And then lower your right toes down. Ground down into your right foot. Inhale, lift your left leg up. Lead with your inseam. Spread your toes. Straighten your knee vigorously. And lower your left foot down. Walk your feet back into forearm plank. Take a steady breath in and lower your hips. Come into Sphinx pose. All right, now I want you to grab your block. If you try this and it feels like a little bit too much today with the block, you can do it without the block. Just imagine you have a block there, but ideally, go ahead and grab your block. Now you're going to take the block in between your palms. Now for many of us, it's going to look like this, but it kind of just depends on the width of your shoulders. So if needed, you could even take 2 blocks. You can position them a few different ways, something that allows you to keep your hands shoulders width apart. If you're not sure what that looks like, grab your biceps and see where your elbows hit. That's shoulders width. So hold 1 or 2 blocks between your palms, and then crawl your elbows way forwards. So imagining here as you press the tops of your feet into the ground with your big toes together, imagine you could flatten your armpits on the floor. And again, you're keeping the elbows shoulders width apart. Now you're going to straighten your arms and push into the sides of the block. Now either lower your forehead or your nose to the mat. Some of you might need to put the chin down. That's fine too. Take a breath in. Now as you exhale, press into the tops of your feet so much that your knees lift. Now try this for me. Can you keep your pubic bones down while lifting your belly button off the ground, but not lifting your chest? So your chest and pubic bones are down, only your lower belly is peeling away from the ground. See if you can keep that, and then try to lift your elbows and arms off the ground. Push into the sides of the block. Can you keep that and bend your elbows and take your forearms to a vertical plane? Keep your lower belly off the ground. Everything else is down. 3, 2, lift your elbows higher, hug them in. And then drop your elbows and relax for just a moment. Now, extend your legs, press down into all 10 toenails, especially the pinky toenails. And then root down into your pubic bones. Just lift your lower belly off the ground. Chest stays on the ground. Hug your elbows in, push into the block. And then next exhale, lift your elbows up, starting with the elbows bent this time. Push vigorously into the sides of the block. Do you need to squeeze your elbows together more? You can lift your head a little bit, but try not to lift it too much. Stay here or try lifting your straight legs up for 3. They're not going to go far. That's fine. For 2. And then plop, come down. All right, these things are best done in 3s. Sorry, I don't make the rules. So let's do it one more time. Bring your feet and legs all the way together, but maybe try just a sliver between the ankles so the sides of your feet are true parallel. Walk your elbows forwards again. Maybe see if you can get the underarms flatter to the mat now. And then lower your head down. Now, press into the tops of your feet. Push your pubic bones down, lift just your belly, not the chest. This time, look forwards. Now try to lift your elbows up. And for many of you, what you might find is it's actually a little bit easier to do when you're looking forwards. It's the same when we're doing the pose all the way upside down. Try lifting your legs up, spread your toes, activate your legs. Are your elbows widening? Could you hug them back in and lift them even higher? For 3, low belly up. For 2, and then come all the way down. Drop the block and rest your forehead on your hands for just a moment here. Now, one more stretch before we get moving here, or moving more, I should say. Take your right arm out to the side and try to make a right angle with your elbow. I want your elbow on the line of your shoulder and your wrist in line with your elbow, palm facing down. Now turn your head to the left. Place your left hand down in front of your chest. Use your left hand to help roll over onto your right side. So if you need to, you can keep your knees bent and together. That's going to make this a little bit less intense. If you want more intensity, straighten your right leg and try to step your left foot behind you like a kickstand. And it's okay if the leg is kind of floating in midair. That's fine. Breathe into the right side of your chest. Next, exhale, roll to your stomach and switch sides. Take your left arm out into that half goalpost shape, palm facing down, right hand in front of your chest, roll onto your left side. Again, maybe you keep the knees bent and together. Maybe you extend the left leg and try to step your right foot back like a kickstand. Now roll yourself back onto your belly. Plant your hands down next to your chest. Curl your toes under. Inhale. Exhale, push yourself up into plank. Lift your hips up and back. Come into downward facing dog. And then walk your hands all the way back to meet your feet. Bring your hands to your hips, come up halfway, and inhale, stand all the way up. All right, so we are warmed up to try a little bit of forearm balance. Before we try full forearm balance at the wall, I want us to do one last thing. This is a really great exercise to work on the alignment that's required of the pose, because we really are trying to get the hips over the shoulders. So what you're going to do is you're going to face a wall, and I want you to sit down for just a moment, place your feet flat against the wall. And this is just to measure one leg's distance away from the wall. And this is where your elbows are going to go. So mark the line of where your hips are, turn around, face the center of the room, and put your elbows down on the line of where your hips just were. Then you're going to grab opposite biceps, and you can either interlace your hands or parallel your forearms. You could also take a block between your hands if you prefer. Keep your elbows locked in place, curl your toes under at the wall, and start to lift your hips up. Now, feel your shoulder blades widen on your upper back. Feel free to stay here. If you want to keep going, you walk your feet up and you're trying to make a 90-degree angle between your upper and lower body. So you're stacking your hips directly over your shoulders and you're knitting your rib cage in and back. You can stay here or lift one leg straight up. And try to really keep this square. Line up your hip, your heel right over your shoulders. Roll your inner thigh to the center of the room and activate all the way out through your toes. And then switch sides. Take your other leg up. Really reach through your toes. This is super important when we're kicking up into any inversion, really. You want this lifted leg to stay active, and you're rolling the inner thigh to the middle of the room so it's neutral. And then place the foot back down and walk your feet down. All right, we'll just do a couple of kicks together, but by all means, feel free to pause the video. You're very warmed up to try this pose. You might try a few different rounds. Now, if you're with me, what we're gonna do is turn around, face the wall. And what I always recommend, just a few little tips here, although I do have another video coming soon, check it out. It's gonna be called Prop Your Pincha if you want more tips on Pincha. Now, when you're coming into forearm balance at the wall, a couple things. First thing, you want to look forwards as much as you can. So one thing I often see when people are kicking up and they're somewhat newer is they're letting the head drop. That is a variation of the pose, but it's actually a lot more challenging to do it that way. If you involve your neck and let your neck extend a little bit, it makes the balance easier. So try to look forwards the best that you can. Now, the second thing to keep in mind here is that when you lift one leg up, as I mentioned in that last pose, you want that leg to stay neutral, right? So the differences between this, right? You see how my foot is turned out? That means my hips are now facing kind of up and to the left at a diagonal. Instead, you want to make sure that your big toe is tracing your midline. So more like a warrior three leg than a half moon. And then the last thing to keep in mind here is that the other big mistake I see often is this. We kind of treat the leg almost like a lever and we're using it as momentum to kick up. And you might be able to get up a few times that way, but it's not really a sustainable way to hold the pose. So once you lift a leg up and you get that leg really neutral, try to only let the foot that's attached to that leg go up at the same rate as your hips, right? So you don't want your leg moving at a different rate than your pelvis. You're thinking of it as one unit. Your hip runs all the way down to your heel. So notice, so as I lift this leg up, I'm moving my pelvis with the leg, so the leg is almost an extension of my hips. And that's gonna make kicking a lot easier. Now, just one last little tip. This was just the first variation I was ever able to hold without much help. If you try kicking yourself in the butt with your kick up leg, it is a little bit easier to balance when you keep hugging that knee in towards your chest. Now, of course, I always recommend try to kick up using both legs, especially the one that maybe isn't your best side. So thank you so much. Again, feel free to pause the video and work on your forearm balance. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. I post new videos just about every week. And I also teach several live classes a week. So you can check that out at my website, yogawithashlyn.com. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.